Episode 317 of the Too Thick Pod, your home for all things sports, cards, and levity. Little live action here on a Monday night. How are you? I'm Jeremy, joined as always by my son, Manny, and his mom, Courtney.
You forgot. We are live! Brought to you by Too Thick, tummy sweats, and beef.
There you go. I'll get behind that. But what I'm not doing is I'm not jacking somebody else's style. The hobby is real with the beef. I don't want a basketball chucked at my head. I don't want to be on card porn fighting with anybody because I jacked somebody's style. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And today we have one of our, actually not one of ours, our favorite guest. We have mi madre, Reckless Courtney.
How are you? How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm excellent. I'm tired, and my voice is a little lost because I've been talking for like days and days straight.
Big timer over here. She went second place for Female Influencer of the Year, and now she's like, oh, I'm just so tired from talking and influencing the masses.
Everybody just has to hear what I have to say all the time, guys.
Did you realize we were trying to call her at the show, and she's like big timing us? Can you believe we got big time by Courtney?
Listen, I was messaging you like, I'm free now, and you were ignoring me. So who is big timing who, really?
That was legitimately some of the most painful stuff because I knew Courtney was just like, God, this guy's a dumbass. Come on, Manny, we're supposed to go live. And Manny's like, oh, sunshines and rainbows, shiny thing. And I'm like, oh.
I added him I deleted it. I should have saved it because it was so embarrassing. But I added him to the live because he asked me to, and then he accepted it, but like from his pocket or like the side of. So it was literally I went live with Too Thick, and it was just Manny's dick, like going up, and then I couldn't get him off, like I couldn't get rid of him because I was like breaking cards at the same time. So I just ended my live and then restarted it because I was like, what the fuck? Nobody wants to look at Manny's dick.
Well, hey, this is what happened. Jeremy started buying cards or trying to buy cards, but TNT was right next to him buying all the cards. So then people were asking me questions on your guys' cards. So I had to put my phone down. It was being respectful.
Yeah, shout out to TNT. Great people, but then came and posted up and used my table, threw cards in the showcase, and then just started buying. And you know when you so because we did the light version, we didn't bring the whole shebang, and I forgot to bring all the signage, and so my man had like a briefcase full of cash, and that grabs everybody's attention. I'm like, oh, would have bought that. Oop, I would have bought that. And there was like a ton of Bowman color and Bowman autos.
And I was like, respect, didn't they email you and we're like, hey, what are you bidding on PWCC so we're not bidding against each other?
Well, that was me telling him. That was me telling him because I don't want to bid up Jeremy or TNT because I'm going to lose. So I was just like, hey, let me know what you're bidding, and I'll stay away.
I like it.
Hey, so we thought we would go live, middle of January, late January. Shows are starting to kick off, and one thing that we talk about or what we've experienced from the Reckless side is what you see on social media isn't always what's the true pulse of the hobby. There's so many people that are influenced by money they're receiving, alliances they have, sponsorship, stuff like that. And so sometimes you get a skewed version of what's truly going on. So we thought with Courtney being in Atlanta at Culture Collision, me and the kid over in Lansing at the Avery Shoebox show, we would just go live and talk about, what we're seeing, what we're feeling, what we're hearing, what's hot, what's not, and everything in between. But the one thing I want to know is I know Courtney will stir some shit up. I know it. And that's why we gravitate towards each other because we're both a special kind of asshole like that. What the hell did you do in the basketball game? There's people chucking basketballs. There's people doing karate chops. You got people saying East Side don't ride like that. Even though I've been to the East Side and you don't throw a basketball at somebody's head, you get got. So what did you do?
I mean, maybe if you threw it at somebody besides Blez. Like, honestly, that's like picking on a puppy. I don't know. I didn't get it. Okay, so I wasn't there. I left Saturday, and the big game was Sunday night. So that happened when I wasn't there. But
hold on. As a concerned husband and father, it was my understanding you didn't come home till Sunday. So if you left Saturday, what were you doing, you Jezebel?
Okay. So the last night of Culture Collision that I attended was Saturday. My flight was Sunday morning, so I didn't get to attend the aforementioned basketball game melee. I can tell you that I saw it, via social media, like, everyone else who wasn't there. And it's like a hobby basketball game. I don't understand why, like, first of all, if I behaved that way, I wouldn't reshare it. I would be embarrassed that it was on the internet. And then I don't know. I don't want to start anything. It was embarrassing. It wasn't like nobody looked like a badass in that scenario.
So you were there. Hold on. You were at the trade nights. You were hobnobbing with these folks, sharing drinks, taking pictures. Was that shtick or was that legitimate beef? I got to know.
Okay. So if it wasn't legitimate, it's brilliant. It's brilliant because everybody's talking about that's what everybody's talking about. So if that was manufactured, I'm wildly impressed. Whoever their like social media people are should get a raise because that was well done. And you can't buy publicity like that.
Hey, Jeremy, let me throw a ball at your head.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so initial reaction, obviously, probably more people knew about the Culture Collision show relative to the Avery Shoebox show. What were your initial thoughts? What did you see? And then we'll kind of go back and forth and we'll compare and contrast.
We're going to talk about Culture Collision first. Okay. So I flew in Friday morning and the show started at 1 and I went down like around 1:30, like right after it had started. I wanted to, make sure everyone was like set up, because it shows how people sometimes it takes, and there were still a bunch of empty tables where people hadn't set up yet on Friday. There was a lot of people. There was a ton of tables. There was a lot of really cool stuff. But Friday was like foot traffic wasn't as much as I thought there was going to be. There was a lot, but not as much. It was nice, like if you were there walking the show, because you know how like even like at the National, like the first couple days, like the weekdays when people are still working, like it's only the hardcore people that go early on a weekday that don't live in the area. So you have that opportunity to do the first few laps and see everyone without like being elbowed and like everyone like knocking you with their Zion case and everything. So it was really nice. I did the majority of my buying, which I don't typically do, on Friday because there were good deals to be had. The people that were there that I knew, were willing to negotiate the prices on things that I wanted. And I had like a really nice day Friday. It was super chill. I went to the women in the hobby booth, like shout out to them because that was super well done. And they were selling cards and giving cards away to kids. And they had awesome stickers. And it was like a rotating group of women in there and men. And so not as like, I guess I don't know. Like, I don't know what I was anticipating, but it wasn't as like insanely crowded that first day as I like had expected it to be.
When you were buying, just to provide perspective, what kind of cards were you looking at? Were you looking at 5- and 6-figure cards, or were you looking, $50 to $200?
No, I wasn't. I was buying $50 to $200 cards, and wax. So,
okay. How was the show? Because it's promoted like it's a shoe. It's like every member. There's comic books. There's shoe collectors.
It was a really nice mix of things. That was fun. There was like people set up selling like handmade soaps and jewelry and shoes, tons, and which is my favorite thing, tons of artists doing like a really like sports and Marvel and Pokemon. Topps was there with like an artist showcase for their Topps artists, which was super cool. And like one of the coolest experiences I had was having Andy Freeman sign one of his cards for me. So that was awesome. And it was very eclectic. They had a shoe a tennis shoe contest. They literally had basketball games. They had a half-court game going on 3-on-3 the entire show in the background of different teams. So it was like I had no idea that was like as big as it was going to be, because they had the 3-on-3 for like the east and the west side that they were promoting for the whole time, but I didn't realize that there was like a bunch of games leading up to that, like with like brackets and everything. So that was really cool because like you could go take a break and watch like people you knew play 3-on-3 with each other. People got hurt. One guy ended up going to the hospital. That Mikey guy. Yeah, he was like in a wheelchair for a while. I was like, oh my God. People. So as far as that beef on the court, I feel like it was probably legit because people were taking that stuff so serious. I was watching Doc Collects out there. He was like all over. He had, he's got that long hair. It's like flying by him, and he's like chasing people down. They're like, it was crazy, and people were intense about it. So,
I mean, I haven't seen something like this since like maybe Pac Biggie. You know what I mean? If you're gonna go East versus West, right, Manny?
Oh yeah, who won? Does anybody know?
I feel like whoever won got overshadowed by the fight. I don't even know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's serious. I think I see Luca Nations in the chat. Didn't they participate last year in the 3-on-3? Wasn't it Andrew and I think they got skunked, I think. I don't know. But this basketball stuff is weird, man. Like I didn't even know it was a thing. It's like a subgenre to the hobby. When we were riding up to Atlantic City at National, we were watching it on live, and there was like Tim taking that one kid money, and Haj damn near died because he got heat stroke, and like
Ash was good though, man. He crushed. So.
The best about like watching this like basketball is we are the same people that shit on these pro athletes and collect their cards and think that we could go out and do the same thing.
I never want to hear another person who collects cards call Zion Williamson fat and out of
Oh, we would never. He's our spokesman on this show.
He's not thick.
Oh, he's thick.
He's not thick.
No, I do have a question. What was like the kind of the vibe? Was there a lot of like deals getting done? Because on content, you're seeing deals like happening all the time.
Yes.
And like Jeremy said, sometimes
we were set up next to Mojo at the Women in the Hobby booth, and he was doing deal after deal after deal. Like he kept going, like he'd be standing there and he'd be like, oh, I want to go walk the show. And like 4 people would come up and he'd be doing deals with them. And he said that he barely got to walk the show because there were so many deals going on. And we were selling like $1 and $2 cards at our booth, and like some, a little bit higher end, but not really. And all day we were churning cards like nonstop. There were, Kayla Collects, she got probably like $120 worth of cards out of somebody's dollar box for $20.
So how many tables were there total, Court?
I'm not entirely sure, but it was like probably around 200.
Of the 200, were all 200 just dedicated to cards, or was that a mixture of?
No, it was a mix, and they were like spread out where you couldn't. It wasn't like there was like one area by the basketball court that was very clearly like art, sunglasses, socks, tennis shoes, but they were like within everything. So it wasn't like it was a mixture. So if you're walking through like one row, there's 7, they had the rows like 1 through 9, and they were listed like 100, 200, so, yeah. But if you were walking, you would like walk past comic books, then tennis shoes, then jewelry, then makeup, then cards, and then cards, and then like framed sports memorabilia, and then just sports memorabilia. And they had a stage with a DJ going the entire time, which was so dope. That was one thing. The vibe of this show is so like progressive. It's really a lot more fun. There's a lot more, it just feels more like an event than a card show. Which, we all go to the VFW shows where it's just like dusty old tables, and everybody kind of just, they all know each other. And if anyone new comes in, they just like, it's not as like welcoming as you would want it to be. And
they hate that they're there.
And they do. And I feel like a lot of these newer shows, and I feel like Averys is like that too. These newer shows are trying to be more inclusive and inviting to younger people and more culturally aware. Like they call it culture collision. It is. You feel that it isn't. It's not boring, and it makes you want to be there. Like a lot of times at card shows, like by the end, I'm like, oh, I'm ready to go. This time, from the second I walked in, I stayed every day until the end of the show. When I had a nice hotel room, there's bars, you can go do whatever you want. I'm like, I wanted to be there. I wanted to see what was going on. I wanted to go, go check out all the tables. And the first day, because I really took my time, I didn't even make it through the whole show. And there could be more than 200 tables. I literally have no idea. I shouldn't say that. There could have been 400 for all I know. I felt like I didn't even get to see all of them. And I know that.
So you have all this stuff going on, just with 50% card related, 75% card, 30%. I'm trying to get an idea, like a sense.
60-40.
Okay, so 60% cards.
35. It was mostly cards.
Okay.
You know what I like about this type of show is what do you call it? I'm addicted. I have addicted personality, and I like to collect comics. I'll collect shoes. I like to collect cards. So this show would have done damage to me, and I'm kind of happy that I went to Avery's with Jeremy. It sounds like there's some people like that would do damage at these shows, which is good for the dealers.
I legitimately bought nothing to resell. Everything that I bought was my PC. Everything. I knew Jeremy was up north, wheeling and dealing. So every time I'd see the eBay thing go off, I'm like, oh, look, there's a little bit more money I can spend on some PC stuff.
That's hilarious, because there was one point where this guy was asking about Justin Fields' card, the on-card redemption that you guys got, how much it was. And he says $750, and the guy was like, and Jeremy was like, no, never mind, sold it on eBay. Just took it out. That's how Jeremy's day was.
That's why when people are talking about card sales being dead, that is something that I did not see. Every single dealer that I talked to at Culture Collision, every single one said they were selling a ton. That was the general consensus amongst everybody, was that they were selling. I personally did not talk to a single person that said that they did not have a good show.
Well, I was talking with Manny as we were watching, and the foot traffic, and we'll describe the Avery show in a little bit, but the foot traffic from the jump was crazy. And one thing I liked was when you walk around, and this is a goofy way to judge it, but we were at the Troy show, and not to speak ill of the Troy show, it had incredible foot traffic last week. Jose Canseco there signing, but it was the VFW, no showmanship, and maybe a couple Zion cases. I looked up at 9:45, and over 100 tables, kids, adults everywhere, Zion cases, luggage cases, people there ready to move and groove. And so that was a really, really good sign to see. So my theory, though, for selling is, the holidays are beyond us. People are back to work, holidays, people shut down for work. But also, I think I get a sense that some of these dealers held firm for 3 months and are now just finally realizing it's okay to accept a loss. I'd rather have the cash than stuck on these cards that I can't move.
I did notice the prices were, Manny. I did notice the prices were better than I've seen them elsewhere. And I didn't know if that was just the area, Atlanta's not cheap, not a cheap area, but it's still maybe it's cheaper down there than it is up here. I wasn't sure about that. I don't know the market and if it fluctuates by region, but I can tell you that there were some things that that you're always going to see that are overpriced. People are just unwilling to move on certain stuff, but all the cards that were between $10 and I would say $150 were very reasonable, and they were probably had been between $50 and $300 cards before. So now you're seeing that people are pricing their cards more accordingly. I didn't hear anyone complaining about comps. In fact, when I was at tables, they were like, oh, what are I had bought some wax from somebody and they had it priced at $150. And I pulled up eBay. I'm like, there was one sale for $150, but they're pretty much going for $85. And he was like, sure, $85 sounds good. No, oh, I'll meet you in the middle. None of that. He was just he took the $85 and he was happy with that. And, so that was the kind, and I paid full comps. I wasn't going to be well, eBay or this is what they're selling for. This is what I'll buy it for. So
what was hot at the show? What were people looking for?
Courtney.
Star Wars.
Oh my God. I cannot believe And I don't know anything. I felt very much, I had a lot of FOMO, and I felt very much left out because I didn't really have any interest in buying Star Wars. But there's like this new galactic or galaxy boxes that just dropped, and they were like $330. And now, like back home thinking about it, I'm like, I should have bought like a bunch of those because there's no way that that's not going up.
I think DAPS.
There's a $15,000 bounty on one of the cards in those boxes.
It's DAPS, right? That's willing to pay for it for the super refractor.
Yeah,
he's been ripping like a madman on that product, trying to get that. So
I'm telling you.
Did you say super refractor or superfractor?
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Just let that go.
I have never seen Star Wars. I will never see Star Wars. I will die. Like if my option right now are death or watch Star Wars, I'm choosing death 100%.
Well, I've watched all of the Star Wars movies. I watched them all. So like I know the characters and stuff, but I don't like I watched someone buy $7,200 worth of Star Wars cards sitting next to me, just like going through and like looking at them. So when I tell you that Star Wars is very hot right now, I'm not lying. And the people chasing it are very intense about it. So and that was what everyone was talking about at the show. So
did you have to did it cost to get in to the show?
Yes. It was $20 for general admission. It was $50 for like VIP for the whole weekend, and you got early entry and get like a cute tag, which I want to say it must have been like one of Prism God's kids or nieces or something. I was talking to her and she was telling me that was her idea for the design to like make the VIP like feel bougie. And then they had $150 like super VIP where you got like a bag, you got early access, you got the VIP tag, and you got 2 like culture collision sweatshirts of your choice.
What would have been the advantage to getting in early? Was there any sort of on-site grading?
No, I don't think that there was like for me, there wasn't.
No Stranger Things lines?
No BGS, no PSA.
They were there. And PSA wasn't there. Beckett was there. They weren't doing on-site grading, though, that I saw.
I was always curious about shows like that charge versus the ones that don't charge. You do get the premium. Like I feel like the ones that do charge, there's premium cards in these shows to be like had. And it's a bigger show. And you do get like the perks, right? Like you said, you get the culture collision sweatshirts, get in there. What is it, a half hour earlier or hour earlier?
Hour early.
Earlier. So, I mean.
And some Sundays it was like, I feel like Sunday you got like significantly early.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, for me, because I wasn't there, I'm not there grading. I'm not there like subbing any cards. I'm not there, doing any of that. It wasn't, like I did pay for the VIP just because I didn't know if I'd want to go in early the next day. So I wanted the ability to do that if I wanted to, which I ended up not even going in early.
I think it's good to support it too, because this is year 2 of this show. And it's like, it's a hobby participant trying to grow it and do something that I think is much needed. So I think even if you don't utilize it, throwing that couple bucks could make a difference.
It's worth, So I guess for me, I never think about it. If I went to like a regular show, like a VFW show, and they were trying to charge me to go in, I would be like, what? But like a show like this, the amount of like, they had speakers, they had DJs, the showmanship, like you were talking, it was very high. They had the basketball court was like, it was made with like culture collision. They put a lot of effort into this, and they had I saw like athletes walking around, like Dale Murphy was there. And so it was an event to me. So it's not just a card show. So I didn't mind paying to go. It was like getting into an event versus like going to a card show.
You stayed at a hotel that was connected to the convention center, and It looked like trade night just went down in like the lobby. Like it looked like it's similar to like a big Embassy Suites or like a Gaylord. If anybody's traveled to one of those, is that about right?
It was very much that. So they had one like official trade night on Saturday night, and then they had a trade night Friday that just like spontaneously happened because of course it did. Like the majority of people were staying at the Waverly, so there, like when the show ended Friday. It ended at 7, which is pretty early, and there's a restaurant and a bar down there. So everyone just naturally congregated from the show to the Waverly and just continued on. And it was a good trade night, like very good.
You're an absolute social butterfly. Did you get a sense that the dealers who set up there felt they got their money's worth for whatever the cost of the table was?
Again, every single dealer that I spoke to said that they had wonderful sales. I didn't hear, and I did talk to a couple dealers who typically are very, very brutal when it comes to like being dissatisfied with the show. And even they were like happy with what they had done at this show. So no, I didn't hear anyone personally complaining about the cost of their table. They weren't very expensive. Like I went on, it was like $300, like the starting price for a vendor table at that. And at that price point, that's like one card. So, because I went on accidentally, I thought I was trying to buy tickets to the show. I'm like $300, and then I'm like, oh, this is vendor space. I'm not trying to be a vendor. So,
well, I'm glad that your experience there and all the dealers' experiences was a positive one, because we had that same type of feel for Avery's Shoebox cards. We got there. Avery had us set up in the middle with his little island, and Jeremy and I set up. He's like, you guys have room for 2 tables? When I got there, and I was like, in my head, I'm like, no, we don't. But I was like, maybe Jeremy does. I didn't know what Jeremy was bringing. So we set up, and it seemed like there was a lot of deals going down. A lot of buyers that were walking around the room that weren't dealers. And it seemed like the dealers were giving out reasonable comps, prices for their cards. Jeremy, I don't know if you have anything else to add to that.
So this was only the 3rd show in Michigan that we've ever set up at. You know, we've been asked several times to do several shows, and we usually just decline just because like the same old, the way I look at a show, unless I'm bored or I've just got some free time, I won't just go to an average show. It's got to be something about it to draw me in, whether the person putting on it is like charismatic or shows some sort of want or desire to bring something to the hobby. We did one in Petoskey where it was held at a casino and in like an event ballroom where they had projectors with the TV going. You had drinks and food. It was spacious, well air conditioned, well lit, like all the amenities in the world. And to me, that was like, hey, okay, this is an event. We can go. You know, we had the trade night the night before. You can go to the casino afterward, good food and drinks, spend the night, have a good time. So I had always slept on the west side of the state, and I had gone recently the last couple months. It's a monthly show, and was just super impressed. You know, it was a mall show, and I was always kind of like, that's odd, but you don't even feel like you're in a mall. You're on like one wing of it. There's over 100 tables, so it's well lit. You've got a food court, you've got an ATM, you've got couches. So what I thought was pretty cool, and I know some dealers frown upon this, but there's deals going down between the people walking the show, which I think is great because it gives people the ability to, like, if I'm stuck with this card, there's more than just the vendors that I can work with, you know, make a couple of transactions and boom, I'm back in the game. I'm wheeling and dealing. And so having that space for the people walking the show, I think is incredible. Now, I also add that in the surrounding areas, every restaurant, Starbucks, everything that you could possibly want. So, like, you know, me and Courtney have gone and walked the show, left at lunchtime, gone and regrouped, you know, game plan what we're going to go after, and then come back and kill it. So the setup, 120 tables within, like, you can circle it in 10 minutes, spaced out very nicely. People aren't on top of each other. So the setup is welcoming from being set up as a vendor, but also buying, you're not on top. You're not asses to elbows, even though it was pretty damn packed.
My opinion about the Lansing show, do we consider Lansing like the west side of the state, or is that like more like dead center? It's like center.
It's center.
So
it's west of me.
So yeah, anything.
This is the east side, Court. This is the east side. Fuck around and find out, girl.
Unless he's 2 feet over, then it's the west side.
Yeah. So my view of the Lansing show, and I wasn't at this one, but I have always enjoyed it. Well, what I really like about it, and again, I'm going to say this, and it sounds like superficial, but it means something. When you walk in, they provide all the tables with matching tablecloths. So you walk in and you have all of these people with this nice, attractive uniform look, right? It's nicely air conditioned in the summer, so like people aren't sweaty and smelly because it's in a mall. There's a food court, there's other stores. So like if we take the kids and they get bored, they can go shop in the mall while we do what we're gonna do. It makes it more family friendly. It makes it more accessible to a larger group of people, or if you're there with your husband and he doesn't really like sports cards, you can shop while you're at the card show while your husband goes to like Bass Pro Shop or whatever husbands do who don't like sports cards. So
psychopaths.
I find it wildly appealing. And that was something, because I've been to a few shows now in Michigan in malls, and I didn't even know that that was a thing until I moved out to Michigan. But I am hearing that it's actually kind of common to have sports card shows in malls across the country.
It's actually a good thing if you think about it, because people are walking the mall. This was back in the day when malls were a thing, and people are walking the mall, didn't even have cards on their mind. This is when I was a kid. They used to have it at that Lansing Mall, and I lived on that side. And as a kid, I was walking, and I was looking. I was like, oh, sports cards. And that's kind of how I got started. It was just pretty much walking the mall with my family. So I did see people there that I know personally that don't collect sports cards, but they were walking table to table looking to see what was there, and getting interested. And it could bring more people into the hobby that you never expected.
I also appreciate that there's a card shop in the mall that's open right there. So you like legitimately from where our table was a 20-second walk and you're inside a card shop, which is easy. You got to get supplies, or you don't like what's out there, you can go inside the old shop and find what you need. I thought the vibe was the hobby is very alive. There is a lot of buzz. The dealers were much more positive than what I'm used to. Typically, you're
I'm going to say that was a definite vibe, was just like very positive, excited to be there, like friendly. I was ripping cards and I realized that I bought wax, but I didn't have any supplies. And he was just like giving me top loaders and penny sleeves, and just, all around, everybody was just really, it was exciting. It was fun. It felt fun.
So I would be remiss if I didn't also point out that they had JSA there doing authentication, like autograph authentication. And so there was we saw some cool stuff, people waiting in line, so like game used soccer balls with Pele's autograph and stuff like that. But it was the prior week we had gone to the Troy show, and I'm going to speak ill about it, but I'm not really speaking ill about it. It's more of like the people that are there. We got there and you could not even park. That's how busy it was. Jose Canseco was there signing. So the place, I had never seen it that busy. So you would walk around, all the aisles were packed. You couldn't move. You probably, our poor son was grounded, so he had to walk behind me and carry the Zion case. And by 20 minutes in, his arm was dying. And I stayed the whole damn show, man. I went table to table, very methodical in what I do. But I was, I try to talk to everybody and get a sense of what's going on. And 3/4 of the dealers there were just angry, mad. And I'm like, you're at a show. If it was dead, you would bitch and complain that there's no foot traffic. Now it's packed and you're mad that people are here. I don't understand. So, while we were there, we had, myself and Manny were networking, not nearly as efficient or effectively as UCorp, but we were letting people know, hey, we're going to be out at this show. This is why we're doing it. This is what we like. So to my surprise, when we got to the Lansing show, doors opened at 8 for setup and the show didn't start till 10. You know how often people are coming in late, half hour after the show starts, hour after the show starts. People were both, Austin, both.
Yeah.
By 9 o'clock, people were set up. There was you could feel the buzz in the air. There was legitimate excitement. Deals were going down before it got started. And 3 or 4 people that are longtime hobby people that only set up at the Troy show were there before the doors opened, because they're we've heard about the show. you're saying it. If you won't set up at a show close to your house, there's got to be something to it for you to, you know, drive an hour and a half to set up. And so it made me feel good they came out, and then overwhelming reaction from all of them was like, holy crap, this is awesome.
Yeah.
In fairness, and now that I think about it, Jeremy shouldn't be the deciding factor on where East and West is, because when he left the Lansing show, he accidentally drove to Detroit instead of home.
You know, the Troy show, he drove to Detroit as well.
No, it was the Troy show.
I was gonna say he doesn't know it's north or south either.
He's really lost. It's like I took 75 east instead of west. I don't know.
He called me. Oh, okay. Hail Marys, and the one rule that we said is Hail Mary's not allowed to join the live.
No, Hail Mary will fuck everything up, man. He's got 19 tabs open. I don't even know if he recognizes he's in the right chat. He's probably listening to episode 9.
He's watching all 30 episodes.
No, so check this out. In Saturday, I got home correctly because I was without children. I got home, I watched the Bulls game, and then I turned over and I watched the Royal Rumble. So Hail Mary, you'll appreciate that. You'll appreciate that, Oos.
You saw your Dewdrop. She doesn't go by Dewdrop anymore.
She back to paper again.
Yeah.
Yep.
She was killing it.
We have
I was watching Royal Rumble too.
And I have Piper Naveen cards and I have Dewdrop, so I'm good. I'm golden.
There you go. But yeah, so that Avery show, like what Jeremy was saying, there's people that just strictly went to the Troy and Taylor show that came over and was like, wow, this is what I'm expecting. Like, I might set up in the future. Because they saw all the deals going on. And then they were like, you know, at Troy, there's only like a couple, like 2 tables that have Pokemon. He's like, this alone has double the amount of Pokemon that Taylor and Troy does put together. Like, they're starting to click. Like, that's why I like the Lansing show, because there's so much variety. You have like cards that are $10,000 cards. Remember the LeBron rare card we saw, Jeremy? But you also have like the quarter cards to $5 cards at some tables. And I love that about card shows, because you could get whatever you really please. We were the only soccer table, it seemed like, again, maybe one other table. So Jeremy, we had our sick soccer case. I don't think we opened it once again. I don't think no one wants.
Golden was set up at Culture Collision, and they had like 2 cases, and the one case was empty, and the other case only had 3 cards in it. And I was like looking, and the guy's like, "Yeah, we didn't bring much." He's like, "That's like only like 2.5 million," and I was like,
no big deal.
Yeah. I was so proud. The soccer case looked so awesome. It had like 3 or 4 one-of-ones, you know, some superfractors, gold vinyls. And I'm like, man, somebody's going to come up. And I will tell you what was not selling a lot at the Lansing show, and that was soccer.
Yeah. I think
soccer, people were looking for soccer at Culture Collision. I talked to quite a few people looking for soccer, and they were having trouble finding it. And you know what else was pretty popular? Like, and it always surprises me, and it shouldn't, but we were selling WNBA cards, and we had people coming up looking specifically for specific players. They wanted the WNBA, men and women. So I was like surprised and pleased to see that. So
I like that. I do want a sweet Sue Bird. I think she just retired too. So her market probably went up a little bit.
Yeah, it was kind of shitty. Candace Parker just left Chicago and went out to Vegas. Yeah.
That team's stacked.
Yeah. The one card we still got to get is I want like a real dope Sabrina Ionescu.
Oh, yeah.
I would like to add one of those, but every time like one of her cards, like sometimes they're more expensive than a Patrick Williams. And I'm like, well, I'm not committed to Pat. Sabrina, you're gonna have to hold off.
You know, like
you know what else? I think we overthink things as well. Jeremy and I won't say you, Courtney, because at the show, everyone was asking for football, and Jeremy and I were basically done with football like 2 months ago. So we were on to basketball, baseball, and people still were like, do you have Joe Burrow? Do you have Patrick Mahomes? So we were like, kind of like set back because we could have made a killing on that.
This is awesome. What's good, Garrett? This guy came by and he'd scored an awesome Luca. It ended at a goofy time, but it was
Ooh.
an auto out of 10. And then he bought another card, and the other card shipped, and he was starting to think that this Luca wasn't going to be sent, and I'm glad that it got shipped. That is freaking awesome.
Garrett said he was going to sell me that Luca.
Yeah, he got a numbered out of 10 went for less than what the 99s were routinely going for. Like an absolute steal.
That seller did not want to sell that.
Hey, you know, I think it was a new seller too. Like he didn't have a lot of feedback. It was all 100%. But shout out to you, Garrett, man. That's freaking awesome.
Congratulations.
Man.
That's amazing.
Had the steal of the century right there.
Yeah. So, and that's more of a me thing. Like I'm pretty stubborn in my thing. Like I buy when I buy. Like I had a guy come up with like seriously comped out to like $1,200 worth of football cards, and it was all like Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and he's like 600. I'm like, I don't buy football right now, man. He's like 400. I'm like, I appreciate it. I'm like, I'm principled, man, because once I make the exception for you, the next guy that comes up, I'm going to be like, oh, I'm going to buy this Mahomes. And then, you know, my money's going to be locked up in football as we go into the off season. So I'm like, here's my business card. Get with me in about 3 to 4 weeks.
The thing with that, though, is if we thought about it, we probably could have bought it and put it in our showcase, and it would have been gone by the end of the show. That's how much people wanted football, Courtney, at this show. Even with, like, the risk of...
You're a grown-ass man. You have your own money. You could have bought it. I'm principled.
I follow in Poppy's footsteps. He's not buying football. I'm not buying football.
So I have a question, because this is something that I noticed. Is like it felt like a lot more... It was epic. Hail Mary said Culture Collision looked epic. It was awesome. I was like on the fence about going, and then Jeremy and Sarah Layton kind of like bullied me. Really, they were like bullied me. Sarah was messaging me. Jeremy was like, "You gotta go. I bought you plane tickets. You're going." So I was like, "Okay." So I was nervous to go, but
all right. So I'm gonna stop. I was gonna let it go. Bullied. So I was like booking flights, and I'm like, I wouldn't fly anything but Delta. Court, I'm going to get you. You're going to fly Delta. She's like, oh, no. No, I'd take anything. Hold on, Manny. I'm talking. She's like, I would take Spirit. I'm like, no, I'm not putting you on Spirit. She's just like, get me on a Delta plane. It'll be good. So I'm like, all right, cool. I book her flight. Then this motherfucker turns around and goes, yeah, you know what? I'm not doing this economy shit. Bumps her seat up, upgrades. Then is pissed off that even though she's got a 15-minute wait that she can't get into the Delta Sky Club because I'm with her. And then upgrades her flight on the way home and is just like, yeah, I'm
Wait,
not.
You were first class on the way home?
First class all the time.
Courtney, you said on the way there, I'm the woman of the people. I'm sitting in the back. Jeremy would never. And the next flight, you get first class?
I did fly. I was at the back of the plane. I was like main 2 on the way out, okay? I had to sit between like very smelly people. Sorry if those people see this.
Wow.
And it took forever to get off the plane. It took forever to get on the plane, and then it took forever to get off the plane. So when I was given the opportunity to reasonably upgrade my seat on the way home, when I was tired and my neck hurt because I slept funny, and I had to drive to Wisconsin to pick up my kids and then drive all the way to Michigan for 7 hours in the car. Yes. And then I had to be like the 3rd person off the plane. I took it. I took my opportunity. I did it. I also
the last time I flew first class with Courtney, she drank 4 Prosecco's, passed out, woke up, ate a charcuterie board, had another Prosecco, and passed out.
I did. This is a literal text message that I sent to Jeremy. It was like, my mom took the little 2, and then I brought the big 2 with me, and because I was going to fly out of O'Hare, so they were visiting family out there, right? So I left them with their family, and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to book like a hotel on the way to spend the night, because my flight was like, I had to be up and at the airport by like 5:30 in the morning, because my flight was super early on Friday. So I'm at a gas station putting gas in my car, and I'm booking a hotel on Priceline, and I book a Comfort Inn or some shit, and it had like 8.2 out of 10 stars. So I'm like, this is good. And it was only $69. I'm like, fuck yeah, I get like good reviews. It's super cheap. I'm only gonna sleep there. So exactly. Thank you, Garrett. Garrett understands. So I get to the hotel, and I don't know what people were rating this hotel 8.2 out of 10 stars, but I give the hotel a 1 out of 10 stars, and I would give it a 0, but the shuttle driver to the airport was like the nicest human being I've ever met in my life. So he is the only saving grace of this hotel. And I didn't want to sleep on the bed. I literally laid on the bed like this all night. I woke up and my neck was sore, and then it remained sore for the entire weekend. So, and then I got on, and then I go to the airport, and I'm Maine too, and I'm very used to flying with Jeremy when I fly. I very rarely fly by myself, and he won't fly anything but first class. So I've gotten very accustomed. I told Jeremy, I'm like, 2002 Courtney would have been fine with this whole trip. 2023 Courtney is now a spoiled little bitch, and getting on the plane last, not having room to stow my shit because all of the upper things I had to I had to put my stuff very far away from me, which makes me uncomfortable because that's my stuff. And then having to sit by people that smelled like onions and salt. I didn't want to do that on the way home, and I was tired, and my neck hurt, and I wanted
this motherfucker went from like, oh yeah, just get me there. I don't care. I'll do it over a hotel. And so I was trying to book as much of it in advance. I'm like, look, you're staying at the Marriott. You're right there. She's checking in. She's like, are we gold elite, or platinum? No. And I will share the text messages. And I'm like, I know we're at the highest status on Hilton. For Marriott, I think we're 1 below it. And she just put, oh, never mind. So the way the message read, it was like, I'm a shitty provider, a terrible husband. I'm like, I'm sorry. So there's like the 13th floor, and then like the next floor.
There's no 13th floor. It's 12 and 14.
Yeah. So she was pissed off she couldn't get on the 14th floor, threatened me with divorce, and then, you heard about her inconsistencies in the story early. She was gone Saturday night, but then back there. So I don't know what's going on. But point being, she said, just get me there. I'll have fun. Then fuckface has to book her own hotel, puts herself in God knows what. Why she wouldn't stay at a Hilton or Marriott is beyond me. And then she's like, oh yeah, I have to sit with the common folk. Nah, upgrade. And she did it so backwards. If I would have just booked her first class, her checks would have all been included, all that stuff. But no, she piecemealed it together, added stress to her own life, additional text messages that I had to read, and it ended up being more expensive.
The best was how, like, on the way there, she's like, I got Wi-Fi, but I'm with the common folk. Courtney's the common folk. Jeremy's the diva. And then their first red flag is you're staying at a hotel that costs $69. No one ever stays at a hotel.
There were legitimate prostitutes standing outside my door.
Exactly.
Hey, so if you remember our first night in Atlantic City, when Courtney was responsible for booking a room for one night,
was with the prostitute.
She put me in a trap house. So she is all for the world in booking hotels.
At trap houses.
And then she finds some website that nobody's ever heard of where she's like, look, it's got a great review.
It was Priceline. Like, what?
Dude, Priceline has steered you wrong too many times. Delete the app. Do not go there. Stick with Hilton. Stick with Marriott.
Courtney
I set her up for a nice mama-only trip a couple weeks ago in Petoskey. Was that not beautiful?
Oh, that's her. Oh, yeah. So about Culture Collision, I am disappointed that you actually didn't do a video with C-Blaz.
She shared a floor with him.
I met him. I met him in person.
No video.
No, I don't like. I feel like this is where I feel like above other people is like I'm not gonna ask some random dude to like take a video with me because he makes Instagram videos that are popular with like
but you're Miss TikTok. You're Miss TikTok. You tell him, look at my TikTok.
If people wanted to take videos with me, I'm fine like doing that, but I'm not gonna. I don't ask people to like be in. I don't know. I just unless I like them as a person and I'm having. So I met him because I was talking to Tim from Slab Strong. They were playing basketball, and C-Blaz was playing, and he was like, he was taking it pretty fucking serious. He had like a mouth guard on for like 3-on-3 on a half court. I was like, okay, well, somebody's gonna fuck up his grills. So everybody should have known that he was gonna be throwing hands because he was protecting his teeth.
The hobby's alive.
Hobby's bizarre.
Hobby basketball is a real thing.
I don't know. Like, I was like on the fence. I'm like, I don't know if I want to talk about this, but it's so fucking funny. It's so funny. And I told when Jeremy and I were having a whole conversation about how we can never like play in one of these tournaments because on God, if somebody threw a basketball at me, I would fucking claw their face off. Like I would attack them and then I'd go to jail. And Jeremy said the same thing. He's like, I would have to punch someone if they threw a ball at me. So I grew up like legitimately places where if you fucked around, you found out. So like you can take me out of that, but I'm still deep in me. And if somebody whipped a ball at me, that would set me off.
I mean, I think it's dope, man. You talk a grip of shit, coming into it, and then it's time to put up or shut up. And so it's go for glory.
Jeremy won't get that reference, but you're right.
That's perfect. No, I do got some good news because I do want to bring it back to Avery about our future with the show briefly. So we do got big news. Jeremy announced it on Twitter, but if you're not following us on Twitter, I actually put it on our Instagram story
if you're
too.
Following them on Twitter, you're stupid. Their Twitter's awesome.
Exactly, because Jeremy does great work of showing what he drinks every morning. Right, Jeremy?
No more Dunkin' Donuts. No more Dunkin' Donuts. I saw your Dunkin' Donuts tweet. You can't drink Dunkin' anymore.
What happened?
When I was in Atlanta and I couldn't sleep at night because my lovely, beautiful husband was not laying next to me and I can't sleep without him. I was watching TikToks and I got deeply into exposing Dunkin' Donuts TikToks. And so now I may never, ever drink Dunkin' again.
Every small thing that I love in life is if you give Courtney enough free time on TikTok, she comes back and tells me why it's bad.
You need to search Starbucks and see what Jeremy
does. I will never dive into exposing. You don't have to because Starbucks treats its employees terribly, and I have a hard time judging.
I heard a bad rumor about Starbucks, and I was like, "Ooh, I should investigate that." But I'm like, I'm going willful ignorance on this one.
Well, okay, back to the story of Twitter. Okay,
you distracted me.
Yeah, it's Jeremy because it's Starbucks, but. Good news. Reckless / Too Thicc will be at every Avery Shoebox card show from here on out, and we will be live at the show talking to either dealers or people that are just walking around and asking them what the feel of the show is. We kind of want to do something that no one's like actually doing and kind of promoting a show that we like, and we want to kind of grow it together. So we'll be there. We have a little couch that Jeremy and I are going to be sitting on. You got to sit in the middle of us two thick boys and get interrogated for like 5 minutes.
I purchased a new camera setup. We're going to be like those fucking guys. I have camera, tripod, I have lighting, I have a backdrop. I got it all. So the camera can link up to socials and go live with multiple socials at the same time. So
I love that. So it's going to be fun. We're going to try to do this. You get to see us live, what we're buying as we're buying it. So
yeah, I think it'll be a great opportunity to talk to random folks, old, young, see what they're buying, what they're interested in, what the buzz is, what their perspective of the show is. And, I would imagine that any criticism will be met with, immediate action to improve it and make the show the greatest experience for all.
Calm down, Matthew.
Okay, so that joke was coming. That was the first thing that anybody thought of. They're like, "Oh, and you guys have a couch." It's not really local for me. It's a good like hour and 20 minutes without traffic, but that's no big deal.
All the cards. Yeah. I don't think we really have a local card show to like Genesee.
Maybe not to Genesee, but Troy is just down 75. You can make that in like 40 minutes.
Yeah, and the card shows every month, third weekend of the month, I believe, right?
So we might not be able to make it to every show because we have,
we have some prior.
If Skip Shawana lands on the third one, we're pretty much.
Yeah, same with Mint. I think in March it might land, or it's not on the same. It's the weekend.
No,
right?
No, because it's over my birthday. My birthday's like April 1st. So.
Okay, so yeah, we'll try to make it to all of them. And they're monthly shows.
Yeah, we've been talking about like doing like a possibly like a trade night one night afterwards at like a local like bar and grill, like maybe support local business. People could eat, have a couple drinks, and continue to buy, sell, and trade cards, which I think is awesome. But I'm really excited because people will actually be able to hear people are at shows like, hey, I'm sick of vendors doing this, or hey, like nobody cares about Trey Lance.
You should already have it if you need it already. Everyone's been saying that the hotel prices for National is already like triple what it was.
Shit, I don't have mine.
So one thing that I did hear, and it wasn't so much a complaint, but it was more concern, and I'm wondering if you heard this too in Atlanta court, was there's a lot of concern about late March and early April with a lot of big shows being scheduled on the same weekend. And so I didn't realize it's like Dallas is the same weekend that we're going to Vegas. I think there's a big show out east. I think there's a big show in Nashville.
And then in Tilly in Philadelphia is the same weekend as Mint.
So I was talking with the woman who runs Mint, and they are, I feel like, so Manny, since you went, did you feel like Mint was more of a like convention or showcase for business than it was like an actual show? Because that was by far everyone's biggest issue with it. And I like that was something I heard where people were like, we're not going to go back. They had multiple panels at the same time, a workshop, so you like missed things. So that was like a big like complaint, and she was taking all of that in, and they're really changing it up, like big time changing it up. They're focusing more on the dealers and the actual marketplace. I was pretty impressed with her because just like what she was saying made total sense, and she was like taking all of the feedback in and like making plans to change things that people were like, this needs to be done like this. She was like, she wants to have it be more like the production value still be really, really high, but make it more focused on the actual hobby versus like, and she also wants to have people speaking that aren't just like this, like the same people saying the same things all the time.
Yep.
So I thought that was impressive.
That show was a marketing show. I actually like it. And Courtney, you would have too, because we're both that marketing type. Jeremy would have hated it because he's the type that wants to get deals done, right? This show, it just seemed like you were there for your brand and you're kind of getting your brand out, but they kind of didn't promote it that way. And I think that's why the dealers were kind of upset. But if they were to promote it as like a marketplace where you come and everyone, it's like a social event and there's cards on the side that you could do deals with, I think that's better. I actually enjoyed it because it was different than your normal card show. And
it was a bummer for us because we were going to go, but with COVID and then they got pushed, and we were already committed to Shipshawana. So we couldn't go when they rescheduled it because once we make a commitment to something, we follow through with that. So.
What's cool is like they had an after party, and it had like Emmett Smith was up here, Paul Pierce was giving away a ball. It was cool. It was like all the hobby was going into one area, and it was just a big party for everyone afterwards too.
I was listening to Luca's the other day, and they had a representative from Mint on, and they were talking about how they added an extra day just for the show because a lot of people were frustrated that like maybe there was a live going on at the same time as the show and it prevented them from being there. So if there's going to be a panel, I think there's going to be an additional day just for the show. And we know that Mrs. Squirts is going to be there. So I'm excited because I'm not going to set up, but I am going to try to throw her a couple bucks and see if I can slip a couple cards in the showcase.
I was talking to Sharon from Black Shaded Wolf, and that was something that she was like talking to them about. She was unhappy that they would ask her to be on panels, but she's like, I can't be on panels with the marketplace going. She's like, it's not productive for me. So she's like, I can't leave my table. And
so what's the overwhelming vibe then? Like a lot of what we heard was just, they wish these promoters would talk to each other, and not that they have to, but I mean, at a certain point, I would imagine one of these shows is going to feel the sting of not necessarily having like the big brand there, or that final little thing that's going to get somebody to go.
is, well, like the like Culture Collision, like the eBay setup was small. The PWCC by far I felt like had the biggest table set up, and they only had like 3 guys. Sports Card Investor had one like tall table and like a kids area. And then Golden had one table. So, and Beckett had a couple. It wasn't like, here's the thing, what's nice, and I think is like the more shows there are, not everybody can fly to the Mint. Let's be for real. Not everybody can fly the Mint. Not everybody can fly to Burbank. Not everybody can fly to Dallas. So these are big, large, local, regional shows. So if you're talking about accessibility, the more shows there are where there's more ability for people to reach them, I think that's great. Now, for the promoters, it's going to be rough as far as sponsorship dollars. But if these big companies are like let's be real, eBay's making millions and billions of dollars, right? So it behooves them to have a table at each of these shows and send representatives from their company to each of these shows. That's expanding their scope of people that they can talk to rather than being at one big show and spending a ton of money. So now, instead of like one big sponsor, what these promoters are going to have to do is make space for everybody. They're going to have to make space for multiple sponsors. They're going to have to make levels. They're going to have to have Beckett. They're going to have SGC. They're going to have eBay. They're going to have Golden and My Slabs and everybody, and make space for them, because they're going to need all, and these companies, it's going to push these companies to have to hire more people, send their people to all of these shows, because at the end of the day, yes, we travel to all of these shows. The people we are in circles with travel to a lot of these shows, right? But we're the minority of the hobby. Like, how many people who go to Shipshawana are going to the Mint and the Dallas show, who aren't the dealers where that's their everyday job? And that's what we associate with. But like in the grand scheme of things, that we're a small fraction of the hobby that's going to all these big shows. So I think it feels like to us, the pinch isn't on the shows necessarily. It's on these people who want to go to every show and make content and just be the big swinging dick at every show. You can't be. You just can't. You can't go to all of them. So you have to pick and choose. And the Mint, being that they only do it once a year, and Dallas is multiple times a year now, Burbank is multiple times a year. Some of these shows, those are the ones that are going to feel a pinch, because if you have one big exclusive show a year, and then you could set up a Dallas, quarterly and miss one quarter to go to the Mint, that's what you're going to do if you're forced to do that.
I think that Dallas and Burbank rapidly have cemented themselves as not quite nationals. I threw the S on there for you, Manny. I know exactly. But just a tier below. I wouldn't even call them regional shows, because people do make an effort to get to these shows. So I would be concerned about some of the other ones, because I know, listening to a lot of people, gun to their head, overwhelmingly Dallas is the go-to show, and the other ones are kind of like, if you can't get to Dallas, like it's by proximity. So and that's just a small sample size.
Do you think if the Mint is only once a year, that people would choose Dallas over the Mint if they were the same weekend?
Depends. If you're a company and you're in it full time, they would go to Mint. The bigger companies will end up at Mint.
Have you seen the companies that are at
Dallas? Yeah, but
that's 700 tables. That's wheeling and dealing. The one thing Vegas has going for it is it's Las Vegas. It's during this year. It's during Final Four weekend, so you can kind of justify, like, I'm doing vacation and cards. I don't necessarily think, if I'm a vendor, gun to my head right now, I'm probably picking Dallas over the Mint.
Just as like someone selling cards. But that's not, Manny was talking specifically like the eBays, the PWC.
Yeah, so like the bigger, like for the Dallas type, you're going to have bigger sponsors at Mint. And I know you say as a dealer, but more of I would say the people that are creating content and could get you, you know, your deals, they're going to be at Mint, not at the Dallas that time, or Nashville or Chantilly. They're going to skip that one and be at Mint. And I mean, it happened last year. The Mint went down during Arizona show, and a lot of the people were like, "We're going to go to the Arizona show, but this Mint's once a year. We're coming here." And I know, like, your Shipshawana show was during the same time, and I don't know how
Brad said that a lot of people went to the Mint and decided, and he was like, "But we didn't." He's like, he messaged me. He's like, "I understand if you guys want to pull out because the Mint is the same weekend." And we're like, "Well, we don't do that." I run the scavenger hunt.
Yeah,
like, it would be like super shitty thing to do. And once we say we're gonna do it.
These are the announced sponsors already for the Dallas show. This is on their website, DallasCardShow.com/Dallas Card Show. Whatnot, Investacard, Golden Auctions, JSA, Beckett, ComC, Dave & Adams, Heritage Auctions, PWCC, Zion Cases.
When is the date? When is the date?
What's the date?
March 9th through the 12th.
Yeah,
so that's a whole month before.
No. What I'm saying.
You're saying like quarterly. Those are the sponsors.
What I'm saying is, when you have 700 tables of action and people are going to be there, I think if I'm an operator, I want the actual wheeling and dealing there. And sure, you're going to have a presence at Mint if it's a industry networking event. But if Mint is known as a networking show and not a dealer show, are you going to, if you're PWCC and Golden, are you going to go there and hope to ingest cards? Or are you going to go to a card show where people go and they're notorious for having wild trade nights and people are spending and flipping hundreds of thousands of dollars of cards?
So you think Mint making a point of really emphasizing their dealer end is important for them to continue to be a viable option for some of these companies to choose them over other shows as sponsorship levels?
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, like, I'm looking at it through the lens of, we take no money from anybody in the hobby other than what we buy and sell in sports cards. Yeah. Now, if I have to go network,
shocks people when I say that. They're like, because like that's a conversation that I have a lot, and they're like, "Oh, so what do you do? Are you a breaker? Do you do this?" I'm like, I collect cards. I buy cards I want. I buy cards I want, and then I buy cards I don't want to flip them to buy cards I do want. Like, literally, that's all I do. I'm like, and they're like, it's just like always a look of like talking to people that, you know.
Well, and you could kind of see, Courtney, that Jeremy is the dealer type person. He wants to make deals, so that's why he's saying that. And we're like the marketing. I would rather be at Mint for the brand, like that. And I know a lot of the people that are in it, the hobby deeply, are going to be at Mint because of their brand. Because there's a like
clear. I want to go where I'm going to find the cards that I want.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like, I like the idea of like having a brand. I like we started this so that I could meet more people in the hobby, and so we could, you know, have fun.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're going to meet them at Mint.
Right. But my thing is if I'm going to something where I'm doing it for the cards and I can't get cards that I want.
Yep.
I don't want to go there. Like, that's that's the whole point of it. I don't want to go and feel like I'm just like fucking doing a circle jerk.
Like, you get good deals at Mint though. The dealers, like, well, last year they didn't want to take all their cards home. That last day was amazing. People had their showcases at 50% off. Like,
that's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
So if your motivation is just to go for the cards, and like where you're gonna go, like, I would, if that was it, it would be Dallas. And you're more inclined to find somebody who's like-minded, who, hey man, these cards are cool. Oh, you like this? Cool. Let's go grab a beer and watch the game. Whereas Mint, like, in my day job, I have to do the networking thing. I go to these shows, and it's a lot of like people blowing smoke up each other's asses, trying to figure out what's the next way we can make a buck off of these suckers in the hobby, or you know what I mean? So it's
don't make us sound like we're gonna go there to do that.
Well, no, that's not what the Mint wants. Like, based on what I was hearing, that's not.
I know, but we were talking at it through the lens of it being just a networking event.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not speaking ill about it. I'm just saying these two shows combined, that would be my choice. And I absolutely adore Las Vegas. So it pains me to pick something that isn't in Las Vegas.
I agree. But like, given my choice, I'm going to the Mint, because especially knowing that they're putting a more emphasis on the dealer and just like the experience. And again, for me, part of the hobby for me isn't just it's the cards, but is also the experience. And I feel like Dallas is, of course, going to be an experience too. But I'm taking the Mint over Dallas just for the sake of, I feel like the production of it is just outrageous, and I'm excited for that.
That's the one thing that I would give the Mint is like how modern and like, you know, being in Vegas, the glitz and glamour of it all. But I'll tell you what, I'm not a FOMO sort of person. I have felt FOMO at multiple Dallas shows, at Mint, other than like 10 minutes. But we go to Vegas, Courtney. We go Vegas 2, 3, 4 times a year. And then I realized like that's not really the show itself. That's just the glitz and glamour of Vegas.
I disagree. I think the Mint is well done, and I'm excited to go and check it out. I was really sad we didn't
You think that it's well done. You haven't personally experienced it.
I've also never been to Dallas. I've never been to the Dallas show, so I'm basing all of this on like my perception of what I've seen online of both of them. And based on my perception of what I've seen online of both of them, I was like, you could only go to one show this year, like one more show. Not a local show. You have to pick.
Oh, national.
That's local.
That's local. No. One where I can't drive to it in a couple hours. Like Midwest is local.
Oh, then Burbank.
No, I'm picking.
Burbank. They're doing the highway signs, the foot traffic. That's absolutely bananas. What they're doing out there. Yeah, no, it would be Burbank. Easy.
Courtney, I had a thought, Courtney, and we got to figure this out. We're going to be doing live shows at Averys, right? And Jeremy's a dealer. How is he going to like itch to sit on the couch when there can be deals to be done? Like, are you going to have to fill in?
He won't. If it's Reckless and Too Thick, it's going to end up being me and you.
Okay. Yeah, look at him. He's already like, I knew this was, as I was like planning this, I'm like, how is Jeremy going to actually like do this? His personality.
That's why he picks Burbank or Dallas over the Mint.
Yeah.
Through the lens of the conversation, I love Las Vegas. I booked us last year for Mint. I've already booked us this year for Mint. I'm excited.
But you would go to Burbank. You would go to Burbank and then go to Vegas in November to watch F1. Is what I'm getting. Like, instead, if you had to choose one thing for Vegas one time, and you got to go to Mint or F1 race, what are you doing?
F1 race.
See, I'm going to Mint because I want to meet. I like to meet people.
I don't like F1 enough to make that. That would not be an option.
Really?
No.
You can't see.
No, I'm talking to
yeah, you can't see the whole track if you're live.
So a show that okay. I mean, to each their own.
I could go. I like to meet people.
I don't like F1. Like, I feel like I've been pretty like. It's like. I don't hate it, but not enough to like miss something that I do enjoy for something I'm like meh about. Like that. Like that's not like I don't understand how that's even surprising. Like if I could do both, I would definitely do both.
Here's the one thing I know. The one thing beyond a shadow of a doubt is I like the Avery Shoebox show. I know I'm going to have a good time. I know there's going to be a couch. I know we're going to have fun. I know there's a Starbucks and a Qdoba. It's rock and roll.
And it's going to be set up really nice because this time Courtney's going to be there. And Courtney makes it way better than what Jeremy and I do. So I'm excited. When's the next show? February? Was it the 28th or something like that?
We grabbed the flyers.
Yeah.
I wish should have.
Well, we'll be there. It's probably the 18th or the 20th. I think the 18th. February 18th. No.
You're all messed up, kid.
Yeah, just let me know. Yeah.
We'll post it.
Yeah, we'll post it up. It's one of the days in February.
Any parting words?
I'm Courtney.
I enjoyed the shows. I hope that more people are going to be going to all of these different shows. And I think our next big one is the Mint, right? So
Skyline, would that be considered big?
Well, okay, Skyline and then Mint. I mean, not local
Ooh.
show, like.
Ooh, we got to make sure. We got to find
Yeah.
out if those, or you know what? No, I think we're good because I think Skyline's a Saturday.
Yep.
Oh, they're both Saturday shows, aren't they? Damn it.
I also want to shout out to my mom and for my appreciation for her watching the girls all the time so that we can go to these shows. No,
Hey.
Jan's the real MVP. Yeah,
She truly is. I tell her all the time. That's why whatever Nana wants, Nana gets.
Yes, anything.
Here's the thing that I think is good. And we want all of these shows to be successful. I'm not sure why Manny's laughing. But the more of an emphasis these shows place on being better for the consumer, the better off we're all going to be. So, like, I want all these people. So I'm, like, super bullish on the Mint talking about all these things because the guy who was on Luca's was talking about they heard everything and they wanted to improve on that. We're booked, so I'm excited. We're going to do everything in our power.
That's separate people for the Mint that have said that, like, you're in the feedback. And I feel like in the hobby, sometimes people are very staunch and unwilling to change. And that's why you see shows like the VFW shows get so stagnant. And so these new modern shows, like taking in the consumer's thoughts and concerns and rolling with them and adjusting is so impressive to me.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the better off. So I hope all these shows continue to do better. I hope some of these companies who are making lots and lots of money off of us, whether it's buyer's premium, whether it's fees, I hope they support these shows, man. I really do. Like, a little bit disappointing to hear the setups that were at Culture. You know what I mean? Like, I'd like some of these people to have faith in what this guy's doing and trying to build. And throw them some money, man. Let's grow.
My understanding was the eBay booth was supposed to be significantly bigger, but it just, like, their setup didn't work with, like, the location, so they had to, like, adjust on the fly. But yeah, the golden thing was really small, not like bad, and they brought like $3 million in cards. So, like, really, when you have that, do you need anything else? Like, at the end of the day, like, I was just like, oh, we're just gonna lay these 3 fucking cards out, and nobody's gonna have anything better. Like. And Tops with their booth was really nice with their artist showcases, and there was again, it wasn't the biggest show, but it was well done in my opinion.
I like it. You got anything, Jeremy?
No, I would just say I appreciate everybody who stopped by and chatted with us. I will say at one point we were talking with Kurt from Kurt's Card Care. And I'm like, yeah, my wife is my wife is at Culture Collision, and I swear, Manny, not 10 minutes after he walked away from the table, Courtney met somebody who loves Kurt's Card Care, sent a message, and he didn't connect the dots at that point. So, like, she circled back and she's like, hey, you were just talking to my husband and our son, the little goofy one.
Yeah.
And
the one that actually talked to him. Jeremy, you didn't want to introduce. I was like, hey, Manny, Jeremy, we're too thick. We heard about you. We wanted to meet you at Troy. And then Jeremy opened up. So
what are you talking about, dude? I was supporting that business before anybody knew who he was.
I know, right, you were supporting him. You just didn't want to meet him.
What? Are you just...
No.
Manny's just saying words.
Jeremy, I had to be like, hi, this is us.
Jeremy never just cold walks up to people. That's not... I know. That doesn't mean he doesn't want to meet them. It just means he feels like...
Anybody that walked up to the table, I said, hello, how are you?
Oh, yeah, you said that, yeah.
It was very, very warm and nice. Meanwhile, Manny was sitting on his chair with his leg up because he's so heavy.
No,
you hurt your foot? You did.
Pictures of his dick to me.
Yes, exactly.
The best moment, I'm going to end on this. The best moment on National was when I was trying to introduce Jeremy to someone, and that dude was sprinting across the floor because I turned around and he was nowhere near sight. So that's Jeremy, the dealer in him. He had to get some deals done. I love you, Jeremy.
Manny, you're a tool.
You are a tool.
And me and Courtney sometimes are proud of you, but more often than not, we're very disappointed. Okay. And we will tell the hobby that we will do better. Our parenting has sucked at best this far.
I love it. And follow us. Make sure you follow us if you're watching. Obviously, you're watching on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button if you like this type of content.
You have to smash it, right?
Yeah, you smash it. Smash it. And then we follow us on Spotify, on Apple. We have Instagram. We're on Instagram at Too Thick, Twitter Too Thick. TikTok. Courtney runs a TikTok. Jeremy's. And with that, I hope you guys enjoyed your hobby release, and we'll talk to you guys soon. See ya.